2, drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He got free!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Welcome to the All American Hoops Podcast, episode 34, a.k.a. The Truth. So we got an awesome show ahead of us, but before I address the elephant in the room, yes, this is a different setup. I've been switching some setups lately, obviously for the first 25-ish, probably a little more episodes. I did the podcasting from my personal bedroom. However, since then, there's been a lot of Wi-Fi issues. So for a couple episodes there, I did it in my older brother John's room. Then last week's episode with Hoop Venue, I did it in the family room because I figured that was easier for everyone else. But however, this week now, I'm currently actually on vacation in Brigantine, New Jersey. So I'm actually doing it in an open room right now. So that's what's going on today. I'm not going to, I'm enjoying my vacation big time, but I'm also not going to stop doing my podcast because of it. That being said, however, something I love doing. So it still feels like that I'm on vacation now, despite recording the podcast. But anyway, great show ahead of us today. Despite it being the offseason, there's still a ton of going on in the basketball world. The media loves to talk basketball, even in the offseason, just like me. Obviously, Team USA had a big win against Serbia on, I believe it was Sunday. Yeah, it was on Sunday. And the bigger talk of the day actually was about Jason Tatum not getting a minute. So obviously, as the president of the Jason Tatum fan club, I'm going to have a lot to say about that. I'll talk about Team USA in general, talk about the game, talk about what's to look ahead for them. And then also last week, ESPN released their top 100 athletes. And in addition to that, they also released the top 100 athletes of the 21st century. And then also the top 25 NBA players of the 21st century as well. So got a lot of awesome things to talk about. I'm riding solo today. So if you don't see anyone on the other side, once I play the AAH theme song, that's why. John and Matt are at the Mets game today, so hoping they have an awesome time. Haven't done an episode alone in a while. I did episodes 1 and 2 alone, and then I want to say I did episode 5, 6, 7, or 8. One of the other ones, it was when I gave my All-Star starters pick for them. But ever since I joined Sports Flu Media and Showtime Hoops, I've been on with someone. That's been awesome. But however, I am looking forward to doing this one alone. It's going to be an awesome time. This is the All American Hoops Podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm Chris Driscoll. So, as I mentioned, this is going to feel a little weird doing this alone, but however, I'm also very excited. Haven't really done a lot of talking in the podcast a ton lately. It's been a lot of bringing the guest on and letting them say their stuff. I obviously do a lot of the talking because I have to guide the show and everything, but it's going to be the first time in a while. It's going to be me giving all my takes and listening to, and then uploading afterwards and listening to what people have to say afterwards about everything. So haven't done a ton of yapping, so it's going to be a lot of me yapping today. So hoping you guys enjoy for the one person joining, but in general as well. So obviously the big thing going on in the basketball world right now is just the Olympics, more specifically with Team USA. Team USA did not lose a game in the expedition games where the games didn't really matter, and they did win their first game against Serbia on Sunday afternoon. And despite it being a dominant team, people are saying it's better than the dream team and everything. It's unfortunate in today's world that people can't just sit back and enjoy just some dominant basketball being played. There's always going to be some sort of narrative twist behind it. There's going to be some sort of critiquing towards how a player played, how a coach coached, why didn't this player say something nice about the other player after the game. So yeah, it's unfortunate how it carries that way, but however, that's how the world works sometimes. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be talking about some of the game. We'll be talking about a lot of the game actually, because it's obviously something that I want to dive into because there's so much to talk about. But I'm going to start off as a big Celtics fan, as you can see. If you're a loyal watcher of the show too, or you just know me in general, you know how big of a Celtics fan I am. So Jason Tatum is the best player on the Celtics, and in my opinion, I think he's also, if you're ranking the American-born players, I think he's the best American-born player currently in the NBA. Which sounds contradictory because Team USA just played a massive game. No, it wasn't a massive game. They just played an Olympic game. They won by 26 without him. So leads to a lot of narratives, of course. Why didn't Jason Tatum play? Is Jason Tatum not as good as people say he is? Does Steve Kerr have a lot of beef with Jason Tatum? What is up with this whole situation? So, yeah, I'm going to give my take on it because even though I'm a big Celtics fan, I do like to be objective in these types of scenarios. Not only am I a big Celtics fan, I'm a big Jason Tatum fan as well. As much as I love Jaylen Brown, I do think that Jason Tatum is above and beyond the best player in the Celtics, even without winning the conference final and finals MVP. That being said, I did fight a ton for Jaylen Brown last year, so I'll be doing my fighting for Jason Tatum in the offseason this year. So, yeah, so as I mentioned, I do think that Jason Tatum is the best American-born player in the league. If we're talking about which player do I want to build around to win a championship in the NBA, I think that Jason Tatum has to be is the best American-born player. I think the only guys that have arguments over him are guys like Jokic, Luka, Giannis, maybe SGA, but even then, I'm really going to push hard against you. Again, in that sense, if you think that SGA is better than Tatum, I really don't think so. Some people argue Embiid, which is a good argument, but he has his shortcomings. I just think that Jason Tatum's game, I think his game is so easy to build around. He is on the offensive end. He really has no massive holes. There's nothing there's no like glaring weakness to expose him. He's a great driver. He is a solid mid-range shooter. He's a phenomenal finisher. His three-point shooting can be a little inconsistent sometimes, but we did see that happen in the playoffs where his shooting did fall off a cliff, especially in the finals. But that being said, it did pick up. It was great in the regular season. He just didn't do great in the playoffs. And some people think that his unwillingness to go downhill sometimes is a bit of a weakness. I don't think it's a weakness. I think it's more so of just like a little tweak that needs to be fixed. And I feel like Jaylen Brown really did help him go down, give him that, almost empowered him to go downhill more this year. And we saw that with Jrue Holiday as well. So, and that's only on offense. On defense, I think that Jason Tatum is top 10 is pushing it, but easily top 20. I think top 15 defender in the league. And that's not because he's like so dominant on the perimeter. It's not because he's one of the best rim defenders in the league. It's because he is great at both of them. He's not just good. He's great at both of them. He's a great rim defender. He's awesome out on the perimeter. This is a guy who is just so unbelievable of a defender. We saw his versatility we saw his strength and versatility throughout the NBA Finals. We saw him guarding Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively at the center position. So then if they wanted to set screens for Luka, Tatum would be the guy guarding Luka. He could guard anyone on the courts. And I'm not saying that he can guard literally everyone in the league. He would obviously struggle against Jokic, struggle against Curry, but against most offensive players, you could put him on them. He's going to either hold his own or he's going to shut you down. That is how elite. He's not a good defender. He is an elite defender, and I've been saying that for years now. But it feels like this was the year that people finally started to recognize how awesome of a defender that he was. And so the reason that I just rambled on there about Jason Tatum was because I just wanted to emphasize how big of a fan I am of Jason Tatum and why I'm a big fan. He is all these things on the basketball end, and I think he's an even better person. He has absolutely zero off the court issues. Really, the only thing he does, but it's he does a few commercials that are really not problematic at all. Nothing really problematic at all. He just hangs out with his son, Deuce. He's having another son coming up. The only thing, people just don't like him just because of the whole Kobe texting. He texted him after he passed away. That would have been over over 2 years ago afterwards that he texted him, "I got you" on Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat, and then he posted that on Instagram. So people said, "Oh, that's corny" and everything. I don't think someone being corny warrants how much hate that Jason Tatum gets, and it's just super unfortunate how great of a player and even better person gets slandered for basically just doing nothing. And I think part of this has to do with the fact that I know most fans have the us against the world mentality, but I feel like especially that's the case with Celtics fans, because I truly do feel like oftentimes Celtics fans, the Celtics get mistreated by the media very, very poorly, and you saw that throughout the NBA final, not just the NBA finals, but the season in general. The Celtics just had one of the best seasons of all time, and they got discredited along the way, and even now they're getting discredited for being too easy. I had never heard the term battle tested up until this year, and people started using it regularly after Dennis Haslam, who's the biggest Celtics hater out there. We know why. The biggest Celtics hitter out there saying the word battle test, and everyone started feeding off because they just don't like the Celtics. And I know that's kind of a victimtality, but really the case. Jason out of Celtics, he would not be getting this type of treatment from the media. But I'm saying that mainly, like I bring up the treatment of Jason Tatum mainly just because of the way that all this has been covered throughout the media. Because people are just talking about how no one respects Tatum, and now they think he's not that good because they decided not to play him. I don't think that's the case at all. So I talked about this about the whole Derek White situation. I talked about it when I defended Tyrese Halliburton making Team USA over Jalen Brunson. You're not going to build your roster, and you're not going to build your rotations based off the best player, the best 5 players available. We all know that's the case for like the best 5 players available. Like you're not just going to pick the 5 best players. Like in some cases, you might have just have 5 centers out there. You are also not going to be able to build your team based on just the best player at each position, because we don't know how well they're going to fit together. Very oftentimes, the best players do fit together because they're pretty portable, like Jason Tatum. But in some cases, I saw some people making pretty good arguments, by the way, for why Jason Tatum was not getting playing time. And the main argument was that KD and LeBron James were getting a lot of his minutes because they're both forwards who fit into systems a little better than Jason Tatum. And some people even think that those two guys are better than Jason Tatum. I disagree with that, but it's whatever you think. If you think that's just to show that I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible in this situation. I wrote an article back in September, I want to say, about how I think that this was after LeBron and Steph. It came out that LeBron and Steph wanted to do the Olympics one last time with each other. Not with each other. Like they wanted to build the best team possible. And I wrote an article on primetimesportstalk.com regarding who I wanted the roster to be. And in that article, I did not have Jason Tatum as a starter. I had Steph Curry, I had Kawhi Leonard, I had Kevin Durant, I had LeBron James, and I had Anthony Davis. I did not know that Joel Embiid would be eligible to be playing for Team USA at the time. However, I still might go with AD, but we'll dive into that later. So I don't think it's outrageous at all to not start Jason Tatum. I do think he should be starting it because I think that he's the best American-born player, and I think you can fit him into any role. But if you want to say that you'd rather have LeBron, KD, and Steph there and just build around those 3 guys, that's fine too. But I think it's a mistake. If you want to win all the games possible, Jason Tatum is your guy. I think that he's one of the best winners in the game. He just won a championship as the best player in the team by doing any role possible. He's not just the best player in the team that just scored 1 million points tonight. He's the best player in the team by scoring a lot of points. He played some awesome defense. Had 11. I think he had 8 or 9 assists in the first half to close that game. He will do anything to help your team win. And that's why I think that Jason Tatum really should be getting minutes there. So, but I realize that I'm not going to win the argument or maybe not win the argument, definitely not get many places with Jason Tatum getting 0, starting over LeBron and KD, because I think there is an argument for LeBron and KD starting over him, especially in the case that I'm actually going to give 2 arguments because just because there's different arguments for each one. But the first argument for LeBron and KD starting over him is mainly just because it's their last time playing for Team USA. And you want to get the veterans playing when they can, especially when they're playing as high a level as they are. And I'm not going to complain about them, Jason Tatum, not playing over the 2 of them when the 2 of them just played awesome. I'm going to talk about how they played in a few minutes, but I just wanted to address the Jason Tatum and Steve Kerr situation before I talk about the game, just because I wanted to address that as I mentioned, the president of the Jason Tatum fan club. So, yes. So obviously you want the veterans to play. Second of all, we also just saw we also just saw like the veteran, like the leadership. You need LeBron to be like that leader on the team. You're not going to bench him for that reason. But it's it's kind of hard to like you want to pass the torch for sure, but you're not going to do it by benching LeBron James, and it would be kind of silly to as LeBron James, who's probably the captain of this team, to not really be that guy. But the last point I wanted to address was, I think that if we're ranking players based on who we want to build around the championship, Jason Tatum is that guy ahead of LeBron and KD. However, it's the Olympics; they're not playing as many games, so LeBron and KD are going to be coming out ready to play. They're going to be going all out, not worrying about really anything else, because like over a 2-game season, it's Jason Tatum without a doubt. But the issue is where we rely on to on a per game basis, who do you want? Tatum, LeBron, and KD. I take Tatum, but if you want to go with LeBron and KD because of their track record and their overall veteran leadership, that's fine too. But however, I have a lot of this written down. I have a lot of this written down because I have no one else to bounce off today. But I just want to talk about rotations, because rotations isn't as easy of a concept as people say it is. I don't think it's as hard as a lot of other people are saying it is, because you do have 12 of the best players in the world on your side. So just fitting them all together isn't that hard. Obviously, they won by 26 the other night, so you can't complain too much. But that being said, I feel like there's a lot of holes in the arguments of like fits and everything, because if you're going to argue that Jason Tatum deserves 0 minutes because of fits, what does that exactly mean? I just saw a game where Devin Booker was the starting small forward on the team. Devin Booker is 6'4". It's not like he's like an oversized shooting guard like a Klay Thompson or like a Jimmy Butler. He's a small forward now, but at one point in his career, Jimmy Butler was a shooting guard. You have a roster with Jason Tatum. You have it with Anthony Edwards, who's he's only like an inch too tall than Booker, but he's obviously much better on defense and much more like physically fits to guard better players as well. But you're starting 3 guards, and you're not going to give Tatum 1 minute, because the starting 5, it was Curry, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, LeBron, and Joel Embiid, with the bench guys being the 5 main guys, the bench guys off the bench being Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo, Joel Embiid, who's the 5th? Oh, Derek White, obviously. So Derek White was like that main playmaker off the bench, which I adore Derek White. I'm not gonna criticize his minutes, because, as I mentioned, it's not just about picking the best players; it's about fitting the players around him. I made that argument for Derek White's, because I know a lot of Knick fan friends saying like, "Oh, why is Brunson not there?" My same argument for Brunson for Tyrese Halliburton over Jalen Brunson. You need playmakers, you need defense. Jalen Brunson is an elite scorer. If I'm building a team to win as many games possible, I'm taking Jalen Brunson over Derek White and Tyrese Halliburton. But for this team, I'm taking Derek White and Tyrese Halliburton over Jalen Brunson. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, can you say the same thing about Tatum?" I don't know if you can, because, as I mentioned, you have wings in the team. So if you want to start LeBron and KD as the wings, that's fine. Then you have Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker playing that many more minutes over Jason Tatum. I've had this argument with many people about Anthony Edwards. There is zero world where Devin Booker is a better player than Jason Tatum. Better fits, maybe. I'm going to push hard against that too. People talk about, oh, Tatum isn't a great 3-point shooter. Tatum was a better 3-point shooter than Devin Booker this year. Booker shot better in the playoffs, but that was only for 4 games because he got swept. I think that Jason Tatum is a far better player than Devin Booker. I think Jason Tatum is a top 5 player. I think Devin Booker is a top 13 player. No, top 15. Yeah, because I made my list recently. Yeah, I do not think he's a top. He should be getting the minutes that Jason Tatum has. I think he played 26 minutes the other night for Team USA. He is not even close to being the player that Jason Tatum is. As I mentioned, we're talking about solely fit. He's not the better player. He's not the better fit at all. He's not the better fit either. So, want to talk about rotation? Do you want to talk about fits? What does Devin Booker do better than Jason Tatum? Because Devin Booker's main thing is shooting. He had a bad year shooting, not as good as Jason Tatum. So, I just don't like. I understand. I think Tatum played like 13 minutes before KD came back. They just gave KD all of his minutes, which again, I'm not gonna KD's, I think, is one of the 13, 14 best players all time. And I'm not going to get too mad at you if you want to play Tatum if you want to play KD over Tatum. Same thing with LeBron. I think he's the second best player of all time. I'm not going to get mad at you for playing those wings out of him. And again, they're playing on a shorter game. Okay, yeah, with fewer games in the schedule, they're going to want to play those guys. They're going to be LeBron and KD are going to be going all out more. But off the bench, you can't give Jason Tatum 10 minutes. You can't give him 12 minutes for Devin Booker, for Anthony Edwards. I still don't get all the Anthony Edwards things. Anthony Edwards played awesome in the playoffs this year and led the Wolves. That was great. But for plugging him into like a role player system, a role player, like a guy off the bench, like he's just gonna do whatever. I don't think that Anthony Edwards isn't better than Jason Tatum. And you want to say, oh, he's a 2 guard? Is he though? You got Bam and AD as your 4 and your 5 off the bench. You got Derek White as your guard, and then I guess you want to call him the 2 guard now because I guess KD was that other guy off the bench. But if KD's going to be like that main starter, he's going to be that other guy. You got to start Jason. You got to give Jason Tatum more minutes. Now, who you're going to take minutes from? My pick would be Booker, but also. My pick would be Booker, but I also probably would also cut Derek White's minutes as well, because I think that Tyrese Halliburton should be getting more minutes too. Tyrese Halliburton really embraced the role of being like that really great bench guy, which he should. He's I would say up until Derek White got here, he was pretty easily the worst player here. That's not true. Drew Holiday is probably one of the worst players here, just because. But again, fit. But if we're talking fits, Tyrese Halliburton has to be there too, because besides LeBron, there's really no other pass first playmaker guy. Like LeBron isn't as pass first as people say he is, but he's still in a way a pass first guy. Like he's gonna find the pass before he's gonna find the shots in some cases. Tyrese Halliburton is 100% a pass first guy, and he needs to be getting more minutes, in my opinion. Derek White's been pretty good with that, but he hasn't really been playing as many minutes as I think that Halliburton should be. So. I didn't write this out, but however, I'm gonna read it out. So my rotations, I think the starting line should be, and I've already conceded Sam's not going to start, so I've already conceded that. I think the starting line should be Steph Curry, Drew Holiday, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Anthony Davis. Fit. Joel Embiid does not fit with these guys. He's in a way a black hole. He became a better playmaker this year, but he hasn't been showing that in the Olympics. Joel Embiid is not a better fit for LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry than Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a phenomenal fit with LeBron James. We've seen them win a championship together. It's been a few years at this point, but the two of them still play awesome together when they're on the court together. For my second unit off the bench, I have Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, and Joel Embiid. The only switch I might make is either Booker or White for Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is a great player. I'm not playing him over Jason Tatum. I'm not playing him over Tyrese Halliburton because of fits. And probably not Bam Adebayo too. Bam Adebayo has been awesome, by the way. He's been much better than I thought. So he's pretty locked into that world, in my opinion. Like even if you want to put Tatum at the 4, that's fine. But for identity purposes, I'd rather have Bam there than go small. So I just wanted to I spent a lot of time there talking about Jason Tatum and the Team USA fit. But yeah, I just felt like it was important just because I'm a big Jason Tatum fan. I've made that clear. But it's just a joke the way that he's been covered and I feel like and I don't know if this was Steve Kerr's intention. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist guy, but he just has to know the narratives around Jason Tatum. I've never seen a guy who's won a championship whose reputation has gotten worse over the summer. Has this ever happened before? Like even with KD joined the Warriors in 2016, going into the 2017 season. He won a championship, and let's be honest, was probably the easiest championship he could have gotten. Was the media going at him as nearly as much as they're going at Jason Tatum, saying about how easy it was? Not even close. Oh, but KD won Finals MVP. I don't care. Tatum was clearly the best player on the team. It wasn't as clear for the Warriors that KD was better than Steph. I think he was, but it wasn't as clear. So just this whole notion that Jason Tatum he had an easy ring, didn't win Finals MVP, and now played 0 minutes in the first game for Team USA, and they won by 26. Again, you can't complain too much about rotations, but do you really think that Devin Booker fits better with Team USA than Jason Tatum when you're starting 3 guards? There is 0 worlds where Devin Booker fits better than Jason Tatum in that type of scenario. And I think there are 0 worlds where Devin Booker fits any system better than Jason Tatum, including playmaking. I think that Jason Tatum is a significantly better playmaker than Devin Booker. There's not much, if anything, that Devin Booker is better at than Jason Tatum. If I'm building a team, I'm taking Jokic, I'm taking Giannis. 3, it's a toss-up for Tatum and Luka for me, for who I'm building around. I think Tatum is one of the easiest guys to build around in the league for everything I said, for his talent, for his versatility, for his intangibles. And you know who's going to be complaining the least about this is Jason Tatum. He's not a complainer for sure. And that's one of the main things I respect about him. He's fantastic with the media. He's an awesome guy. So, which I understand, as the kids say, I might be glazing him a little bit now, but he's an awesome player and he deserves the respect. Steve Kerr did say he's playing on Wednesday, so that's tomorrow against South Sudan. But who knows? It's been 26 minutes talking about Jason Tatum, so we'll see. Hopefully he backs it up, but who knows? By the way, I forgot to cover the top of the hour to my Knicks fan friends. Precious Achua re-signed with the Knicks, so it's definitely a backup center that they needed. So good for them there. But now I actually want to talk about basketball, and not just the narratives around everything. I'm really looking forward to that because let's talk about the positives now. LeBron and KD looked awesome yesterday. I mentioned it earlier. Let's dive into it. Actually, LeBron James. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 9 of 13 from the field, 8 of 10 from 2, a plus 21. Kevin Durant, 23 points, 8 of 9 from the field, 5 of 5 from 3, a plus 20. Drew Holiday, 15 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 3 of 3 from 2, 3 of 5 from 3. Anthony Davis didn't put up that impressive of a stat line, but it's plus 28 and played awesome defense. Derek White, awesome defense. This is awesome. Just watching, obviously I'm a very patriotic guy. You guys can tell. The podcast, okay, I'm trying to point up somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. It's mirrored. All American Hoops is the name of the podcast. I'm a super patriotic guy. So just watching America go out there and kick ass doesn't get better than that. So once you take away the whole narrative aspect, and I'm a Celtics fan and how Tatum deserves to be playing minutes, if I just look back and watch all these Americans kick ass, I love basketball and I love my country. That's why we're the best country in the world. So it was just awesome seeing them play greats because they didn't really play awesome in the expedition tournaments, or wasn't tournament, the expedition games. A lot of things to worry about, but they ended up winning all those games. But yesterday they showed me, okay, this team's winning gold. And anything less than a very, very clear anything less than the gold at this point. It was always, no matter what, it's going to be disappointing if they don't get it. It's even more so the case now. If they don't get the goal and if they don't get it very easily, I'm going to be like, ooh, that wasn't that great. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, people are wondering what's going to happen if Joe Biden, once Joe Biden leaves office, what's going to happen when LeBron James leaves the league. I'm someone who has rooted against LeBron for years. He's went up against the Celtics multiple times. He's played for the Lakers now, Celtics rival. Can be a little annoying sometimes. Let's be honest. There are some things that I don't approve of what he does. Some things that he says. But at the end of the day, he is an awesome person. Has been carrying. I don't want to say carrying the NBA because there is a lot of talent, but it's going to be very different in 2028 because like LeBron's not going to be there, Steph's probably not going to be there, KD's probably not going to be there. Those have been like the 3 most impressive guys. So it's a pretty awesome thing to see. How awesome the Americans have been throughout this entire time. But as I mentioned, they're playing South Sudan tomorrow, and I think they are playing Puerto Rico on Saturday. So lots of basketball to look forward to, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. So one more kind of negative thing is I did talk about Joel Embiid. He was the only person on Team USA with a negative plus minus. That was a -8 in the game where they won by 26. that's kind of a red flag. I know that Steve Kerr did say at first that they were going to stick with the big three in LeBron, Steph, and Embiid. You might want to change that up now because Embiid doesn't really fit, and I've said the word fits probably like 25 times throughout the podcast, maybe even more. He doesn't really fit well with LeBron and Steph. He's a bit of a ball stopper for sure. Got a little bit of Will Chamberlain to him. But as far as it goes for just moving the basketball, which is Steve Kerr's philosophy, he's just moving the ball around constantly, which is why Steph Curry played so well with him, is because he was always moving without the ball. I think that Anthony Davis, which fits much better than Joel Embiid in this type of scenario. So, yeah, those are my thoughts there. But yeah, I went through the lineup. I do think that people saying Joel Embiid shouldn't be playing at all. I think he should be getting some minutes, but just maybe stagger those minutes a little bit to where AD starting with LeBron and KD. Or I did have KD and AD starting now instead of Booker and Embiid. So I do think that Embiid should be getting some minutes. I think all guys should be getting some minutes. All 12 guys should be getting some minutes because as I mentioned, the 12 of the best players in the world. I think all of them play awesome together. Even the South Sudan game was pretty brutal. They ended up winning that game. But he should try to get all 12 guys in, which, by the way, I'm very happy that Jason Tatum didn't play the last 2 minutes of the game because that would have been a massive slap in the face, basically just saying your 11th to 12th guy will play you if we're blowing them out. So I'm just happy that he didn't play them at all. But I know some people may disagree with that. But yeah, it's an interesting perspective for sure to see how these rotations will go. But yeah, I was looking up some of the names from. I watched the South Sudan game, and I remember some of the players. So JT Thor is really the only one that I remembered. Wayne Gabriel too. Mariel Shayok, he scored the most points, I think. Oh no, Carlick Jones did. I think Mariel Shayok was second. And then Bukhulu. I don't know how to say his name, but. Yeah, like South Sudan, I'm not going to disrespect them at all because they played really well against us the first time around. So let's see how they do it in the game that matters this time around. I don't know. And then Puerto Rico, the only two guys that I remembered are Jose Alvarado and Tremont Waters, former Celtic legends. He was a two-way player for the Celtics. And I think he actually started one of the games at point guard. He was I just remember being short. I forgot to tell you, he was very short though. He was like driving. He was like finding the hole everywhere. It was a pretty cool thing to see. I'm just going to look at my notes one more time. I think I touched on everything. Steve Kerr said that one more thing he wants to have, and he just wants to see Steph Curry be unlocked, and I 100% agree with that. Three-point line is shortened. Try to play through LeBron and KD, give Steph the open space, which I know is basically impossible to do. The whole point of Steph's value is his gravity and how much attention that he gets. If LeBron and KD are scoring a bunch of points and then just leaving Steph open, you can't. That's going to be a pretty cool thing to see. As I mentioned, that's what's so great about this country is we just dominate everything, including basketball. So, yes, as much as I say, what are they going to do when these three guys leave? I think I'm still very confident in America's product for basketball. Nothing else there, I don't believe, regarding Team USA, but. Very looking forward to the rest of the tournaments. I don't know after that. So I know I'm pretty sure pool play is done after Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. But then after that is when they get into the single elimination. So they'll probably play. They'll play Canada probably. They'll probably play France. I don't even know who they played today. It was just usually I'd have John or Matt look this up for me, but I know that Japan played earlier in an overtime game. They played France, right? France won by 4, and I kind of think they were robbed because I think that was a foul at the end of regulation. But is what it is. Yeah, I clearly didn't watch the game. I was just looking at the highlights earlier as the game was going on. As mentioned, I'm on vacation, so I was just hanging out by the pool. But still a lot of fun to watch basketball in the Olympics, and something I'm going to look forward to doing the next week. I'll have someone on next week so we can dive deeper into it. But since I'm the only one on here, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my bread and butter, which is making lists. So, give me 1 second. ESPN released their top 25 players of the last 25 years. So, I guess of the 21st century. So, I'm going to share this with you real quick. This was ESPN's. Let me remove the banner real quick so you guys can see the entire list. There we go. Okay. So their top 25 players of the 21st century included. So I'll go through it. LeBron at 1, Kobe at 2, Steph Curry at 3, Tim Duncan at 4, Shaq at 5, Garnett at 6, Jokic at 7, D Wade at 8, KD at 9, Dirk at 10, Giannis 11, Steve Nash 12, James Harden 13, Jason Kidd 14, CP3 15, Kawhi 16, Ginobili 17, Allen Iverson 18, Anthony Davis 19, Ray Allen 20, Tony Parker 21, Draymond Green 22, Russell Westbrook 23, Pau Gasol 24, and Luka Doncic 25. So I was debating on how I wanted to approach this. I don't know. This was one of those lists where I looked at it and then I said, okay, this isn't that bad. Maybe a few tweaks here and there. I made my own list. This isn't a good list at all. I'll be brutally honest because I'm gonna go through. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through every single player, but it's just guys like Dwayne Wade at 8 feels a little too high for me. I think I have him 3 spots lower at number 11. I'm going to show you my list in a bit. Kawhi Leonard, I think, should be higher, but I understand why people want to have him lower because of the injuries. But that being said, even with the injuries, the fact that Jimenez Peak is better than quite anyone on this list. I don't say anyone because there's a good amount of guys in the top 10 that are much better than him, but it feels a little low there. And I'm going to dive into a couple of them other ones. But some of the guys at the back of the list, like Manu Ginobili, when people talk about PR teams, like they say like, oh, Anthony Edwards has a great PR team. He doesn't get much slander, and I agree with that. Jason Tatum is a very bad PR team, as in me. But given he gets criticized for everything, Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker have awesome PR teams because of how much they won. I'm a big proponent of winning matters, and when ranking players, you need to factor in winning. They're doing it a little. They're factoring winning a little too much here, in my opinion, because Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker are not even close to being top 25 players of the 21st century, in my personal opinion. But and same thing with Draymond Green. But yeah, I'll go through the specifics for each one. I didn't really type out anything for comparing the list, but I'll show you mine right now. So that's not as pretty as the one on Twitter, but I did this last week with Hoop Venue. But excuse me. So I had LeBron at 1, Kobe at 2, Shaq at 3, Duncan at 4, Steph Curry at 5, Kevin Durant at 6, Dirk at 7, Kevin Garnett at 8, Nikola Jokic 9, Giannis 10, Dwayne Wade 11, Kawhi Leonard 12, CP3 13, James Harden 14, Steve Nash 15, Jason Kidd 16, Allen Iverson 17, Russell Westbrook 18, Dwight Howard 19, Anthony Davis 20, Paul Pierce 21, Luka Doncic 22, Jason Tatum 23, Ray Allen 24, and Paul George 25. So to compare to the first list, I'm aware that both, I guess. So they do have LeBron at number 1. I'm happy that there's not much disagreement there. Then 2 through 5 is where there's disagreements. We agree on 2 actually. I have Kobe as the 9th best player of all time, behind Shaq and Tim Duncan. I've switched the order with those 2 guys multiple times, but I do have Shaq and Duncan better than Kobe all time. For factoring in the entire career, I'd have Shaq and Duncan ahead of them because I think part of what makes Shaq has as one of the best peaks, but also a great longevity as well. So which makes me, I used to have Shaq at 8. I have him closer to 6 or 7 now, because I think he's both great. He has one of the best peaks of all time with also some pretty solid longevity as well. So yeah, that's why I have Shaq near the top 3 is because I think that's from 2000 to 2002. That three-peats, I think you can argue that 3-year stretch of him being one of the most dominant players of all time is debatably the best peak of all time, and that's like 89 to 91 or whichever one you want to. You can, I guess, 90 to 92 is probably the best peak because if you want to include the rings and the MVPs and everything. So yeah, that's why I have Kobe a little bit higher because he was better for the 21st century. But yeah, 3 through 5 is where it gets to debate. They had Steph at 3. I had him at 5. I just think that Shaq was much better than Steph at peak. I think that Duncan had both better longevity and more consistency as well. Duncan is, they're tied with rings. Both Shaq and Duncan have more Finals MVPs. Shaq was objectively the best player on 3 of the championship teams. Curry was only the best on 2 of them. Duncan was best on 4 for 21st century, I guess, as well. So you can really go either way, but like if we're just factoring in accomplishments for 20, I know people are going to dive into just basketball abilities, which is fine, but I think that you need to do results. I like to do things results oriented more so than anything. So that's why I'm going to have Shaq and Duncan ahead of Curry. Then is where we get to a few interesting things. KD has become one of the more underrated players of all time. I think people low because didn't really expect expectations. And my friends, Aaron Schroeder, possible Jerry, who'll probably be on the show in a few weeks. He made a great point saying that he peaked at a very young age. So he peaked in 2012, where he was like literally in his early 20s. So they say, "Oh wow, he's entering his peak. He's going to be competing there with LeBron." Then 2013 happens. He got injured in 2013 and 14. Oh, geez, I'm already years wrong. There's usually where like lots of people fact check me, but 2015 he was injured. 2016 blew the 3-1 lead. 2017, 18-19 joined the Warriors, which was a plus for his career. But overall, there's still a lot of gray area there because they say he took the easy way out, which is a little unfair, but it's still kind of true. Then after that, 2020 he gets injured. 2021 gets injured and gets 2021 he got injured for most of the year, but then Kyrie and Harden got injured, and then 2022 got swept by the Celtics. 2024 got swept by the Wolves. So a lot of disappointment with Kevin Durant's career, but still, two-time Finals MVP, and one MVP once. Was part of one of the best teams of all time. Not just part of it. He was either the first or second best player on that team. So I feel like Kevin Durant has become a little disrespected through the years. And in my opinion, the sixth best player of the 21st century, not the ninth. But some people are going to argue against that. Who are the people that they had? Check that real quick. They had Garnett, Jokic, and D-Wade. I don't know how D-Wade has an argument over if you want to put Giannis ahead of Durant, that's fine. But if you want to have D-Wade, that's ridiculous because you want to say that he won a Finals MVP with LeBron, that's fine. But KD has been one of the best players in the league for a long time now. Like he came in second place in MVP voting in 2010, and now today he's still debatably a top 5 player in the league. A lot of it does have to do with injuries, but I think both peak and longevity go with peak and longevity. I give the edge to Kevin Durant over Dwayne Wade. That's not even close. I think Jerk and KG both have better longevity than the Durants, but again, peak, I'm going KD. That's why. That's actually right. I'm supposed to have KG. I'd actually have KG ahead of Jerk, but that's fine either way. Jokic at 9 is where the people might disagree. They think they should be higher. You need to have a little more than just 4 elite years to crack the top 5, 6, 7 area. I think he's going to be better than Kate. I think you give him like another year of playing like this. I think I'll start to. I don't think he's not going to win MVP this year because of narrative situations, and I feel like he kind of entered. He's going to be entering a disadvantage this year, not only because he won MVP, but also because he underachieved in the playoffs. So, but give Jokic another MVP caliber season. If he wants another ring, that'd be awesome. But for now, he's not there yet. Same thing with Giannis. I need to see a little bit more from not only Giannis is a different story because I feel like it's not just the injuries with him, it's also him not really living up to expectations. And there's a bit more gray area with his ring than with Jokic, in my opinion. I'm not going to discredit anyone's rings, but that being said, Jokic did see a harder path ahead. And was a bit more, and his team was a bit more dominant. Giannis played a better finals without a doubt, but I do give it the edge to Jokic for whose ring is harder and who has been better since 2022. So yeah, that's my take there. And then I have D-Wade at 11. I think 11 is the right spot. I think 8 was way too high. I mentioned Kawhi. CP3. I think CP3 is a little underrated right now. I think he's one of the best point guards. I think he's one of. I would say. If we're talking pure point guards, I think CP3 is easily the best point guard on this list, and that's including Steve Nash and Jason Kidd. But yeah, the fact that he's one of the best playmakers and passers in the league while also being the best perimeter defender in the league as well for point guards, that speaks volume. And yeah, he didn't win in the playoffs a ton, but most of that wasn't his fault. Or some of it was his fault for sure, but he's not as big as playoff dropper as people say he is. James Harden, MVP, won multiple times, came in second place in MVP. I think he's like top 28-ish in MVP shares, so that's why I got Harden there. After that, 15 through 18 is where it gets interesting. We got Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Allen Iverson, Russell Westbrook. I don't like I want to say 15, 16 are kind of interchangeable. Maybe You know what? No, actually, like I'm very confident with my Jason Kidd in this order. You want to say that Jason Kidd's better than Nash because of his defensive ability, and that Nash is just the better. But I think that Nash's all-time ability on offense, what's the word? Trumps the Jason Kidd's ability in defense. So that's my take there. I think that Jason Kidd is much better than Allen Iverson. People are going to say, "Oh, Iverson was much better. Like led a much worse team to the finals." Jason Kidd led a not that good team to the finals too, twice actually. So he was a much better player than Allen Iverson, in my opinion, especially factoring in defense. Which before you say, oh, you did that with Nash. Nash is a much better player on offense than Iverson, not even close. Westbrook was interesting. Did Westbrook make this list? He did, right? Westbrook, he came in 20. So I had Westbrook 5 spots better. I feel like my opinion on Westbrook has done like 180 in the past couple of years. I feel like Westbrook has been very disrespected by the media. Prime Westbrook was filthy. I want to call him a black hole a little bit, just because like he had a very high usage rate and everything. But that being said, Westbrook is very good at basketball. And he was behind guys like who's he behind? He behind Draymond, behind Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. You care a little too much about winning if you're going to rank those guys ahead of him, because those guys were second and third, and in Draymond's case, a fourth option on this team. So I'm not saying Westbrook is a guy that's going to be the number 1 option on a championship team. Not even sure if he's going to be the number 2, but he's much better than most of those guys. Dwight Howard. How the hell did Dwight Howard not make this list? Like I had to look like 3 or 4 times. Like let's look again. Let's take another look. Dwight Howard on this list? Dwight Howard is not on this list. You mean to tell me that Dwight Howard couldn't make the cuts, but Manu Ginobili, 17? Manu Ginobili is the 17th best player of the 21st century, but Dwight Howard does not make the top 25. How the hell is that the case? Dwight Howard is a 3-time decoy. He led his team to the finals in 2009. He beat LeBron. I understand like he didn't really carry the team as much because he was a very defensive minded player. He was hands down the best defensive player. He's a better player than Draymond Green. He's a better player than Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. Ridiculous how Dwight Howard, I think he's 19. You can argue that about AD Pierce and maybe even Luka and Tatum. No, I'm not going to say that. Like I think that Dwight's a clearly better player than most of those guys. Actually, you know what? I'll give you the pass if you want to have Luka and Tatum ahead of them because they have rings as the best player in the team. But after that, you're pushing it. So anything less than 24 for Dwight is a bit too much. So yeah, kind of. I feel like Dwight has kind of been disrespected more lately because of like the politics aspect of it. Not really the best person. Kind of crazy with his with his hairdo and everything, which I do feel like I feel like is a bigger. I feel like the media influences that more than people think. So, yeah, Dwight Howard is what people forget how elite prime Dwight Howard was. And I know some people. I saw a video yesterday that said like he wasn't as good as people say he was. I don't agree with that at all, though. Wow, I never thought I'd get that passionate about Dwight Howard. 20, Anthony Davis. Well, I think AD was lower or higher. I have him a little bit lower. That's if you want to have AD at 18, 19, maybe even 7. Like, no, he's not better than Iverson. Actually, if you want to have him a little bit better than Westbrook, that's fine. Yeah, he has the ring, but my issue with AD is just he has never shown us about how he can lead a team, which is a bit of an issue. But at the end of the day, he's made first team All NBA 4 times and was the second best player on one of the better teams of the 21st century. So that's my take there. Geez, that Dwight Howard thing made my throat hurt. All right. Oh, jeez. Here's the wrong table, so my camera fall. Okay. So that leads me. My next is Paul Pierce to 21. Yeah, Paul Pierce didn't make this list, so yeah, I thought that was very disrespectful. Yeah, he's a very long. Yeah, he doesn't have a ton of first or second team All NBAs. I think he made second team All NBA twice. I'm about to look that up real quick, but so I'm going back right now. Yeah, but the fact that he was Finals MVP on one of the best teams of the 21st century. I know people say like, oh, he didn't do anything without Garnett. That's nonsense. He led his team to the conference finals in 2003. I want to say. Give me 1 second. What are the all NBAs he have? He's a He made second team All NBA once. It looks like second team All NBA once. He made 13 All NBA 3 times. Yes, that's that. There we go. Okay, 10-time All Star. Finals MVP, 75th anniversary team. He's become a little bit underrated in my opinion. Bring up 12 years, 34. Yeah, episode 34. Yeah, which is what I mentioned in the beginning. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Paul Pierce. And he's another one. He's kind of up there with Dwight. He's just a weirdo, so they don't want to promote him really. But yeah, is your issue with that there? If you don't want to, I love Paul Pierce though. Even though he gives bad takes, especially on Undisputed. After that, I got Luka and Tatum are back to back, the two best players on the for the NBA Finals. I think both of them, their peaks are higher than a good amount of these guys on the 21st century. That's why I have them higher. Luka has been the best player on 2 teams that have made the conference finals, the best player on the team that's made the finals. Tatum has been the best player on how many teams is that? I'm not going to include 2018. So 4 teams that have made the conference finals and 2 teams that have made the finals and a team that has won the finals. I think people call it recency bias, or even in my case, just Celtics bias. I care about people who they were at their peaks. And Jason Tatum is a 3-time first team All NBA member. He's finished top 6 in MVP voting 3 times. There's not many players at their peaks you're taking over Jason Tatum, especially in the 21st century. So if you want to factor in longevity, that's fine. But I'm very, very comfortable with Jason Tatum as the 23rd best player of the 21st century. Ray Allen, I do have him a little bit lower, which I was surprised at because I'm a big fan of Ray Allen. But happy that he got his flowers for number 20. I do think that Ray Allen is. Some people do say he's. Some people only evaluate him based on who he was in Boston, but he was elite with the Bucks and with the Sonics as well. But yeah, so maybe they're giving him his flowers for either those days, or maybe just the fact that he hit the big shot against the Spurs with rebound Bosch back at Allen, who's 3-pointer bang. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, zero issue with you want to have Ray Allen a little bit higher. But I don't know. He had a really good peak, pretty solid longevity, but not great. And then 25th, I had Paul George. Some people are going to say Joel Embiid should be here. I think Paul George had a top 3 MVP season. I know that he had a top 3 MVP season. And he's not as bad as a playoff joker as people say he is. But I had 1, 2, 3 guys not on this that weren't on the first list. So that was Dwight Howard, Paul Pierce, and Jason Tatum. Oh no, 4. Paul George too. The 4 guys that weren't on my lists, I'm taking a look at it now. So it was Pau Gasol. Oh yeah, so it was Pau Gasol at 24. It was Draymond Green at 22. Tony Parker 21. Manu Ginobili at 17. So yeah, Manu and Parker, yeah, they both have great PR teams. I sound very chronically online now, but I'm actually a big fan of Pau Gasol. I actually, for a little while, I had him on my top 75 list. I think he's fallen off since, but still have zero issue because he was not only was he the great perfect second option to Kobe, he was also awesome with the Grizzlies. I think he won most playoff series with them. So yeah, very underrated Pau Gasol in my opinion. And then Draymond. Draymond's outspoken now. He's very involved with the league. He's on TNT and everything. So maybe they should promote him a little bit. They love his defense. I don't know. He was probably the second best player in 2015 and 2022. So maybe you want to give him credit for that. But it feels a little high, and you're giving him a little too many flowers for being a guy who was at best the 3rd scoring option on some teams. Some of those Warriors teams, he was the defensive anchor at a couple of the teams as well. So if you want to give him the credit for there, that's fine too. Just feels a bit high. I feel lonely enough because usually where I would ask John and Matt how they feel about the list, but I was able to dive into the list much deeper than I usually would. So very happy that I did that there. But I'm gonna publish this list on my Instagram and see what people think. I'm also gonna do it on Twitter. I already did in TikTok. I got some comments on it. I'm gonna respond to those. We got 5 minutes left, so I'm actually gonna take a look. I'm gonna go through my TikTok now to see what people thought about the list. Let's see what they said. I think I may have addressed most of this. Oh yeah, so someone said, I don't understand how you could put CP3 above Westbrook and Harden. I do. Some people, you say oh, CP3 doesn't have an MVP. He does not have an MVP, but however, I do think that 2008 CP3 is better than any version of Westbrook that includes 2017 Westbrook. But however, if you want to talk about peak Harden is better than peak CP3, I'd agree with you there. But I think that CP3's longevity and he's not as big of a playoff dropper as Harden, in my opinion. Next one said, why are KG and Garnett ahead of Jokic? I mentioned that it's because of overall longevity. You want to give the edge to Jokic because of his peak. He definitely peaked higher than both of them. I agree with that, but that's the issue there. And then the other guy, there's a lot of problems with Jokic, whether you're with the two main ones. But yeah, most Celtics fans have the issue with Paul Pierce not being on the list. I have a bigger issue with Tatum not being on the list, actually, even though I have Pierce higher. But I think that Tatum definitely deserves to be on the list. And I think he will be very soon. I don't know. The Celtics, I like to say the Celtics win another ring, he'd get his flowers, but I thought he'd get his flowers after this ring, so maybe not. So wow, this was an awesome show. Yeah, this is a good show. Haven't yapped into a microphone. Like, I think this is the longest show that I've done by myself, because the ones that I've done have usually been about 40 minutes or so. The first one is only about half an hour. But thanks so much for those of you for coming on the show. This was an awesome show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Didn't make any comments. I hope you guys were able to get something from the show. If for those of you who are joining later, hope I did good enough for you guys. But let me pull up the banner real quick to show you. Make sure to follow All American Hooper on all social media platforms, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to Sports Fluent on YouTube to catch every episode Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Not only this episode, but also not only this show, but also other shows. There's some awesome shows coming on, including the Creators Hour by Ori V. That's starting again on Friday nights, 8 p.m. So we're very excited to see that. Make sure to follow at Sports Fluence on Instagram and TikTok. Those are he's very active on that. But until then, I'm gonna close it out with how Chilltown usually does. Give me 1 second. That's just how it usually goes. Drink water, don't drink and drive, put on suits, and call your mother. Call your mother. She'd love to hear from you. So this has been another episode of the All American News Podcast, and I hope everyone has a great night.